Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of F&I Focus, the only podcast dedicated to building better F&I departments throughout the country. I'm your host, Ken Gordon, with the Ford Protect SDR Profit Builder Program, and I'd like to take a minute before we get started to thank all of you that are tuning in on a regular basis. We appreciate your support as we continue to build and improve on this project. We can't do this without you, so thanks for showing up every week. And please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you'll be alerted when new content shows up. And remember to give us a thumbs up and leave us some feedback there as well so we know we're on the right track. Last time on F&I Focus, we talked about working with the sales team to build a better relationship between the sales and F&I departments. Today on F&I Focus, we're going to talk about the drop-in deal, otherwise known as the virtual TO. The drop-in deal happens when the customer is not physically in the dealership. The salesperson simply brings you a deal and drops it on you. The customer is not coming to the dealership. And as we've discussed in the past, the virtual TO is not necessarily a bad thing. Let's face it, the customer has agreed to buy a vehicle from your dealership, and that's always a good thing. So what we have to do as good F&I managers when it comes to this kind of a deal is put on our very best attitude and handle this professionally. We're going to have to call that customer and make our best effort to sell what we have to offer over the phone. And there's no doubt that this is one of the most difficult and challenging situations that we face in today's environment. Selling intangibles as we do, service contracts, maintenance plans, gap waivers, etc., usually requires the use of visual aids to help the customer see themselves in a situation where the product will be of some benefit to them. And that's difficult to do over the phone. In addition, from the customer's standpoint, it's a lot easier to say no to a stranger on the phone than it is with eyeball-to-eyeball contact across the desk. In today's world, it's important that dealers provide valid reasons and maybe even some incentives for customers to take delivery at the dealership. Unfortunately, there are always a few customers that either can't or won't make that trip. Whenever a customer makes the commitment to buy a vehicle, whether it's online or over the phone, rather than coming to the dealership for delivery, it is the salesperson's responsibility to ask the customer the following question. When would you prefer to have the business manager contact you to confirm the purchase, ensure the figures and titling information are correct, and verify the method of payment? Let me repeat that, and you may want to write it down. When would you prefer to have the business manager contact you to confirm the purchase, ensure the figures and titling information are correct, and verify the method of payment? Can you see how that one question covers all the bases for the virtual TO? The salesperson should nail down a time for you to call while they have that customer on the phone. It is the salesperson's responsibility to arrange the initial introduction as soon as possible. Now, here's a side note. How will the sales team know what to say and how to say it? Well, that's your job as a manager in the dealership. You have to train them and coach them, and then you have to train them again. If you don't communicate your expectations, they don't know what you want. Your next sales meeting should include a training session on the virtual TO, and use that word track that I just gave you. So your initial contact with the customer is critical because they may never meet you face to face. You have to convey a sincere appreciation for their decision to buy a vehicle from your dealership. Did you ever notice how you can hear a smile when you're talking to someone on the phone? You can tell from their voice tone and inflection that they're smiling. So do that. Smile during your conversation. Now, since you might be limited on time, you need to have a very precise process for discovering the customer's needs and know exactly which questions to ask and when to ask them. This is a customer who doesn't want to chit-chat or listen to a sales pitch. He or she wants to give us only enough information to complete their deal and get off the phone. So we have to give the customer the perception that the process is designed to expedite the delivery rather than delay the delivery. Yet at some point, we still have to determine which of our products the customer needs and why they need them. So our discovery questions have to be interlaced throughout the conversation at just the right time. For example, while you're discussing titling information, you might also say, "By the way, I noticed you kept your trade for 6 years. Will you be keeping this one for that long as well?" Earlier, we talked briefly about the use of or the need for visual aids. Here's a suggestion. Many of you are familiar with conferencing programs such as WebEx or JoinMe.com. These are sites that allow you to screen share with remote users. Since many of your virtual customers are probably internet and computer savvy, they just might appreciate this type of a presentation. There are a few free webinar sites out there as well. Just a thought and something for you to explore on your own. If your customer is not able to join you on a webinar, proceed with your discussion or your interview as if your customer was sitting directly in front of you. Take notes and build your menu while you're talking to them. Remember, time is important to this customer. Do your job quickly but thoroughly. Once you complete the interview, you can email them a copy or a screenshot of your menu and review it with them as you would in the dealership. At this point, it's pretty much the same as if they were right there with you. You may have an objection to overcome, or they just might pick one of the options that you've presented. The key to this is that you contact the customer quickly and handle the transaction professionally. Earlier, we agreed that this is one of the most difficult and challenging situations that we face today. But like everything else, you have to practice and experiment in order to improve. Think about the virtual customer as another opportunity to improve your skills as an F&I manager. Listen, the customer has choices about where to buy their vehicle. Make them feel like they made the right choice. So there you have it, friends. Some thoughts and ideas on the virtual TO that just might help you make more money in your F&I department. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of F&I Focus. Make it great, don't give up, and practice your craft. I'm Ken Gordon with the Ford Protect SDR Profit Builder Program, and I'll see you next time on F&I Focus.